Is sex outside of marriage a sin if the people really love each other? Hi, Alex McFarland here. Welcome to Truth for a New Generation. Let's talk about an issue that a lot of preachers and ministers really don't talk about, and that is sex outside the bounds of marriage, premarital sex. Studies show right now, as of 2020, 2021, roughly 60% of people that marry have had premarital sex, and sadly, the numbers are not that different for professing Christians, and in some studies may even skew a little bit higher. And having been in the ministry a long time, and I've had quite a number of people come and they want me to do their wedding, and I've done a few and I've turned down a few. It's amazing how many professed Christians engage in sex outside of marriage. Now, believe me, I am keenly aware you really don't hear words like this much anymore, but the Bible uses words like fornication for premarital or extramarital sex, adultery, which is a commandment in Exodus 20 that we are to not be adulterers. Now, why does this matter to God? Well, it's because physical intimacy carries spiritual implications. Now, in our world today, because we're 160 years into Darwinism that has basically made all of life, in the eyes of many, secular, a lot of people don't realize that the physical and the spiritual overlap in God's view of reality. I mean, the things we do in this physical world definitely have spiritual implications, and nowhere is that more prominent than in the area of our sexuality. Now, believe it or not, God saying, stay a virgin till marriage and then be true to your spouse, that is not God trying to rob you of some pleasure. Actually, that is really God setting boundaries because He loves us. And studies show that the people who have the greatest amount of sex, the greatest satisfaction in sex, it's within the bounds of heterosexual monogamy, marriage and fidelity to one's partner. Now, Paul says in 1 Corinthians that every sin a man commits is outside of his body, but the one who commits sexual sin is sinning against himself. Now, I don't fully know what that means. I really don't know what that means. But I know from counseling men, there is extreme guilt. There's agonizing guilt when there's been infidelity in marriage or sexual addiction. Oh my goodness, there's not only the lack of trust and the loss of trust in a marriage, but there's just guilt, there's just addiction, and let me just say this too. Sexual addictions and abuse of God's gift of sex ultimately causes a desensitization of not only our body but our mind. And studies have shown the men that are the most promiscuous, ultimately, many lose their ability to even perform. Hugh Hefner, who was the poster boy for promiscuity, the founder of Playboy magazine, this is the last 20 years of his life, he was impotent. He had basically destroyed his ability to experience pleasure because he had indulged in too much pleasure. Now, all of this is probably more, TMI, too much information. But here's the thing. God gave us marriage, family, gender, sexuality, but God also, the Creator, and remember, it's His world, He gave us the boundary lines wherein we are able to experience these things with His blessing and favor. So please don't believe the world's lie that our sexuality is ours to do with whatever we want. God set boundaries because He loves us. The Bible says every good and perfect gift is from above. Sex is a beautiful gift from God, but God's also given us the context where we can, to the fullest and safest degree, enjoy it and experience it. Friend, His way is the best way. I want to encourage you to stand strong for truth. Share this with somebody. We're on social media. You can forward this. Of course, my own website is alexmcfarland.com. I write about this subject in my books, and I want to encourage you, trust God, trust God's way, and may the Lord bless you in all things.
God has a purpose to train you in what you're called to do, and I tell you, Charis Bible College is the place for that.
Man, if you want a life change, come to Charis.
Come on!
Jesus.
You need to take a step of faith and start believing God for something big. God made every one of you for something special.
The next 2 to 3 years could be the most powerful time of your life.